Hey everyone, welcome back to Devirai Technologies. In this video, we are going to implement the streaming capability for Microsoft Teams bot using Bot Framework Composer. Some of you have already asked me how we can implement the streaming capability for the bots made using Bot Framework Composer. So today we'll be doing some experiments and see whether it is successful or not. Alright, let's do it. As you already know, we have implemented this implementation for Bot Framework SDK and it was successful. We'll try to do it the similar thing using the Composer bot. So let's try. So I'm on the Bot Framework Composer. Let's create a new project. I'll go with the empty bot and let's name this as Streaming Teams Bot. And let's save this under projects. Okay, let's create this. If you're opening the Bot Framework Composer for the first time in your machine, then it will download the templates and then it will create the projects for me. So this is my new machine, so it is downloading those templates and then it will create the project. By the time this is performing, let us go ahead and run the ngrok. Also, I'll go ahead and create the Azure bot resource because for the Microsoft Teams bot, that's the requirement. Let's create one. I'll name this as Streaming Composer Bot and let's create a resource group. And review and create. As you must be knowing that for the Composer bots, single tenant resource you cannot create and even user assigned managed identity you cannot create. You can only create multi-tenant bots use for the bots made using Composer. Coming back to the Composer and let's see if our bot is ready. Okay, early product guide. Perfect. So we have two triggers, greeting and unknown intent. Let's quickly test this on the bot framework emulator or inbuilt web chat capability. Okay, it's failing. What's the reason? You must install or update .NET to run this application. Okay, got it. And it is targeting .NET Core 3.1. All right, how I can update this? Let's open this under Visual Studio. Okay, projects, streaming Teams bot, open the solution. Let's convert this to .NET 8. And also the dependencies also needs to support that. So I'll right click on dependencies, manage NuGet package, go to updates, and I don't want pre-release. Perfect. Let's close the Visual Studio, close the Composer, and open it again. Let's see if this is going to work or not. Perfect. It is working. Let's test it on web chat. Welcome to your bot. And whatever I'll say, it will go to the unknown intent and send me. Sorry, I didn't get that. So it works fine. Perfect. Now, coming to various ways of implementing streaming bot capability. Well, there can be numerous ways, but I only know two of them if and I haven't tested them both the ways. The first way I'm just thinking of, if you have watched my previous video on streaming bot using bot framework SDK, let me show you that. I'm referring to this particular video, send a streaming text response in Microsoft Teams chatbot. There, what we did, we made an API call to Azure OpenAI service with streaming capability enabled. And when we got the response, we saved that response in a timely manner. Like each chunk, I'm saving in a text builder, and that I'm updating directly in the activity. So what I'm thinking right now is, if at all I made an API call, well, let's talk about this one, unknown intent. Let's suppose if I make an API call over here, let me just get rid of this activity and send an HTTP request. Let's suppose I make an API call here to Azure OpenAI with streaming capability enabled. You can make call to OpenAI as well, both works. So since we are making it manually, the API call, it's a REST request. It's a REST API request that you're manually doing it through the composer. The advantage for us in that particular video was that we were using client libraries. So we were having the inbuilt capability of each chunk we are receiving from the service, and that each chunk we are appending in a string builder. So we had an advantage over there. But here we do not have that advantage because we need to do it everything manually here. We need to make an API call, then we need to pass the response, first get the response, and we need to do it in a for loop all over here, everything manually. And each chunk we need to grasp, and we need to stop at a place when the stop reason is like stop request is true. There's a property in OpenAI where it says that it has completed the request and it's the last chunk. So we need to also keep track of that particular property. So all these things into consideration, this makes little bit difficult for us to implement here. It's possible, but that's difficult and it's time consuming implementation. So what I'm thinking, why can't we take our existing implementation and migrate to a composer? So let me show you the documentation first, what I'm referring to. There is a document in the composer documentation under how to, I guess, develop. There it is. So I'm referring to this one, migrate an SDK first bot with waterfall dialogues to composer. In this particular video, we used echo bot. We did not use waterfall dialogue. But in this series, Teams GPT bot, we used waterfall dialogue. And you can find that particular implementation here on the second video, where we implemented the streaming capability by integrating this Azure OpenAI GPT-4o in the waterfall dialog model. So we'll use the same implementation and try to migrate to the Composer bot by following this documentation. Okay, so let's start. So the prerequisite is it uses CoreBot template, and even our previous project that we built was also using CoreBot template in SDK. We are not using the Lewis capabilities or CLU capabilities. So let's try this out. Update the bot welcome message. We do not need that. Add a trigger for the booking intent. This all is for the Lewis as well as CLU. And coming to make booking dialog available in Composer. This is what we want. All right. Um, okay, so I'll go to the project. I'll open this project in Visual Studio and create a new directory, migrated dialogs. I'm here in the Visual Studio, and what seems to be problem here? Not installed npm. Okay, is Node.js installed on my machine? Let me quickly confirm that. Hmm, what was the control panel? I usually forget this name. Uninstall a program. Node.js mn. I do have Node.js installed 20 version, so that's fine. Let's not worry about those things as of now. I'll create a new directory, migrated dialogues, create a new folder within your project. So let's do that. Next, open File Explorer and navigate to the folder where your core bot sample is located. Copy the following files from the core bot sample and paste them into new migrated dialogues folder within your Composer bot. Okay, so booking dialog, date resolver, and flight booking recognizer. In my case, let me open up that project first. I'll open up here itself. Process knowledge base, main dialog. Okay, I have, okay, I have some issues here that I would like to fix them first, because the implementation that I have for streaming capability is on the service class and not on a dialog class. Okay, so that's no. In that case, what I'll do, I'll quickly create a new project where I'm implement the streaming capability in SDK bot through a custom made dialog. So let me quickly do that and get back to you. All right, welcome back. We successfully created a SDK based bot for the streaming capability, and that was quick as I just copied paste most of the code. And how I did, I just created a separate child class with name streaming dialog, and it has all the logic. Okay, all right. So let's try. Let's see. Going back to the documentation, now I can easily copy paste the dialog from SDK based bot to my composer bot. So I'm opening the composer bot in Visual Studio. This is a composer bot, and I created a folder migrated dialogs. I'll be pasting this file streaming dialog in here. Okay. Once that is done, let's see what's the next step. Before that, I'll need to make sure that I install all the dependencies. The first one is Azure OpenAI. Okay, that's all. Perfect. Now, going back to the doc, within your Visual Studio project, open each of three files and update the namespace to match the namespace of your Composer bot. If your root namespace for your Composer bot is scorebot with language, you would update the namespace for each file to be perfect. Let's do that. I'll see the namespace first from the program.cs file. That's my namespace, streaming teams bot, streaming teams bot, and here it will be migrated dialogues. All right. Next, create a cast to extension method for casting the dialog options to the type your dialog is expecting. Okay. Create a new class within the migrated dialogs called booking dialog wrapper. When migrating other dialogues, you would need to replace the dialog ID in the with an appropriate ID. Replace the dialog ID. If your dialog uses specific type of dialog option, you need to ensure that the options object is correctly cast. Okay. Open startup.cs class in your composer bot. Runtime solution. Okay. Configure services. Okay. Booking waterfall dialog. What does this mean? I think I saw at one of the places that if I do not have options to pass, then I can skip those steps. Because the booking dialog has options that are passed into it, a wrapper was required in order to ensure the proper casting between the JSON object that composer passes from begin and new dialog action and the expected type in the use in this case booking details. If you're migrating a waterfall dialog that doesn't use dialog options, you can skip the step of creating a wrapper class and just register the waterfall dialog class itself in startup.cs and call it by its ID using the begin and dialog. Okay, but I will still need this extension, I believe. Create a cast to extension method forecasting the dialog options to the type your dialog is expecting. Okay, and it's inside extensions. And where do I keep that? I have no idea where to keep this. What I'll do, I'll just create this extensions somewhere in the root. I have no idea where to keep that, but let's see. We'll try it out. Try these few things. Extensions. Okay, let's go back, and this we will not need unless we're passing options to the dialog. Okay, and open startup.cs in your composer and register both the waterfall dialogs being migrated and the new wrapper dialog as singletons within the configure services method. Okay, let's see. Services, add singleton, dialog, streaming dialog. Okay, next, what do we have? Call the migrated dialog from a composer bot after you add the booking dialog class and all of its dependencies into the composer bot runtime and registered it correctly. You can call that dialog as easily as you would call any other dialog you author with composer. Select the book flight in the navigation tree. Okay. And we now need to tell our action which dialog to call. With a new action selected, select the dialog name drop down in the property pane and select write an expression. Okay. Then enter booking dialog wrapper, the ID defined within our new dialog wrapper class into the text field. Okay. Let's see. I'll just copy its name first. Streaming dialog. Go to composer. Delete. Begin a new dialog. Dialog name. Write an expression. Streaming dialog. Property to store any value written by the dialog. No. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Ah, okay. I don't think so it will work because before that, let me first check. Okay, it's running fine. That's good. I need to set up my app ID and app password over here. So I'll go to Teams bot. Let's use the same app ID. And app password. Perfect. What else we have? All seems to be fine. All right, let's test this out. Hopefully, this should work. I have no idea whether it will work or not. Let's say hi first. Let's see if the request is received. Bad gateway. Okay, something is wrong now. Restart bot. Before that, let me see on what port it is running on. How do I confirm that? Okay, it's running on 3980. That's the reason. Got it. So I'll minimize this. I'll close this. Copy, paste. Yeah, most of the time Composer bot works on 80 port number. 3980. Then edit in Notepad. 3980. Save, close it out, rerun ngrok. Now let's restart bot again. Let's say hi again. Internal server error. Okay. At least something. Internal server errors are the ones that tells you something is wrong in the bot. And here you can see the error. Argument null exception. Value cannot be null. URI string. Ah, okay, got it. The reason being, I added the streaming dialog, but I did not add into the app settings those two properties. Yeah. All right. So let's do that. Configure development settings. Hopefully, I can, if I add it here, those two properties, it should solve my issue. Let's try this. Let me get the keys for those two properties. OpenAI endpoint. OpenAI API key. And deployment ID. The deployment name is GPT-4o. Let me get this endpoint and API key quickly. I added those properties and I'm just restarting the bot and let's see now. It's running. Hi. I'm staying here just to see. Ah, okay. Streaming dialog not found. Okay, at least something. Streaming dialog equal to streaming. First, let me see the error message here in the console. Equals to streaming dialog not found. I'll just remove equals to name of the dialog to call. I'll restart it. Okay, let's say hi. Show me something. Perfect, perfect. Finally, we achieved it, and I'm really happy we're getting a streaming response using a composer bot. Hats off. Okay, let's try something. Uh, Tell me a story. There it is. There it is. Perfect, perfect. I have no idea what's the use of extensions here. I just added it in the root dialog. I believe it's not used because we have been not been calling anywhere. Okay, how to call an API in C sharp. Oh, wow, perfect. We do have programming questions. That's really good. And there we have the streaming response in Bot Framework Composer project. Well, see you guys. See you in the next video. Thanks, everyone.